All right, what's up everybody? I heard you guys like some good on the door footage. I heard you guys like some real sales footage on the door and in the house. And that's what we got for you today. We are gonna break it down to the ridiculous. I wanna tell you a little bit about how my day was going. So it's a Saturday morning. Just ran a really good correlation. It's my third day ever in Texas knocking doors. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna smash it today. I've got a sales professional from Australia shadowing me, 2 sales professionals from Australia this day, and I'm like, dude, I gotta represent. I'm representing for the USA today, right? And I'm just so contagious. I'm ready to go in my first hour and a half. Literally nobody answers their door. Nobody has garage, nobody has driveways, so I don't know who's home. Talked to 4 or 5 people, they were all renters, and I just said, hey, I gotta make sure that I keep my head in the game, and I know I'm gonna find a good look, and I need to be contagious when that good look happens. So let's get into it. We're about to knock some doors.
Especially the proximity we fight.
Hi, miss, how are you? Sorry to bother you. My name is Taylor McCarthy. These guys are all just training today, so I know we're not here to sing Christmas carols or Girl Scout cookies. I mean, he might want to. I don't know about Arturo. He's a little crazy with a t-shirt. I mean, we had the big Alaska hats because we're not used to the weather. All right, so as you can see, I have 3 or 4 individuals shadowing with me, and I'm a little bit further away from this woman at the very beginning. And if you notice, the greatest enemy is the client's fear, right? People do not want to make the wrong decision. People want to make sure they're making the right decision. So I need to help her relax at the very beginning, right? You notice I'm just having a conversation. It's not like, hey, how's it going? I'm here to sell you solar, right? It says that's how it came out. It's like, I want to conversate with somebody how they want to be conversated with. And, you know, I just told her pretty much what it was. We'll help her relax at the very beginning. We're going to go into our next statement. But I'll cut to the chase. Are you the owner of the home? Okay, so I just had it pulled up. I just want to make sure I'm at the right home. This is 808. Basically, we had some imagery done out here to see. That's what we're kind of showing all the homeowners. The big problem, and it is serious, we're not trying to come down on anybody, however it is important. A lot of people are starting to see the rate increase from last year's Texas Free. Okay, so now I want to get to my comfortable get down to business statement, and you can notice what I'm doing here is I'm really personalizing the opportunity right at the very beginning, right? I'm showing her her roof. I have an app called Knock Buddy where I'm showing her how she's getting crushed in sun. The entire front side of her roof was getting crushed in sun, you know, from the morning to the night. But it's so important that I personalize the opportunity at the very, very beginning of this presentation. I need to be able to find the problem right off the bat to make it serious, okay? This is serious. I'm here for a reason, right? I'm not knocking on every door. I'm knocking here specifically because there's a huge issue and I need to let you know what's going on. Okay, like it is serious. We're not trying to come down on anybody. However, it is important. My attitude, belief, and conviction is what's going to find the excuse for these families to say yes. Even if they say yes for an extra 20 or 30 seconds, that attitude and belief and conviction is what's going to allow them to put out their hand so you can hold it and actually take them to the next step. So what we're doing is we're putting together somewhat of a petition. It's called the redirection program, where you can actually produce all your power on site. When you look at the bill, it's like all these $7, $12, $13 fees that would be eliminated. It just encores the monopoly, and people have never had a second option where you can actually own your electricity. If you notice, that's kind of like what the new technology looks like. It's very low profile on the home. If you notice the people that did put up like the windmills or the solar, they didn't win the lottery, they didn't take money out of their checking account. All right, now we're going into the body of the presentation, right? So I've started to build that problem. Now what I'm doing during this part of the sale is I'm jabbing, right? I'm jabbing, and what I mean by that is I'm explaining different benefits and I'm trying to find the hot button, right? I'm just going, hey, typically people have 5 major questions. I want to bring up those lingering questions throughout this process. Hey, we've had a ton of inquiries, right? People did not win the lottery. I'm stacking up these excuses for them to say yes, because at the end of the day, I have more reasons for them to do this than they're going to have reasons for them to tell me no. And that's why I want to take them through this process, and I want to be able to jab and find the excuses for them to say yes. People always have these 5 major questions because I think people have been noticing the solar, but the initial thought is it costs a lot of money to do something like that. The 5 major questions we get is what happens to my roof, what if we move? How much does it cost? Who maintains it? When do we start saving money? The big one is, what's the cost to me? We would redirect the money you guys already give to the utility company into something you own. Do you know roughly what you guys pay for the utility bill, like just roughly? All right, so during this section, what I want to do is bring up some of the lingering questions. It allows me to play offense where I can say, hey, typically people have 5 major questions. What happens to my roof? What happens if I move? Bottom line, what's the cost? Who services the system? When do I start saving money? I also am starting to bring up the utility bill. Notice I say, hey, roughly, just roughly, what do you guys spend a month on the power? Right? I'm not necessarily looking for her to give me an answer there, but I want to seed things that I want to do later in the presentation. Assume, seed, and tell them what's going to happen, right? Assume, seed, involve, and tell. Take them through the process. Or the solar on the roof, they didn't win the lottery. Last year when the freeze happened, a lot of the grid was compromised. So what happens is the grid just basically makes us pay for that, and that's what I was showing you with this increase on the bill. So not a lot of these homes qualify, and then other people have like a lot of trees. All right, so notice in this next section that you're about to watch, the way that I transition, the same way that I am going to provide a roadmap for the family to educate them on reasons why it makes sense to go solar, I also need to be able to have a roadmap on how I'm going to be able to lead them and create the decision. So what I'm doing here throughout this process is really being able to transition and show them what's going to happen on that next step, which are 2 things. One, I'm going to show them what their bill would have been last month if they would have already had solar. And then secondly, like where the panels would be laid out. I'm utilizing a lot of involvement questions to throw them into the future, right? Very important technical parts of the body of the presentation. So all I would do are 2 things. One, I would show you what your bill last month would have been if you would have already had solar. And secondly is I would show you where the panels would be laid out on the home. Now, and people want to know what the catch is. The catch is simple. Encore is the monopoly. They have the stronghold. They own the 130-year-old infrastructure which makes power. So solar's been around for a really long time. It's just been very expensive. Before all the companies come out to say, we want to sell you this or we want to sell you that, we look for a few of you guys that we can refer back to, and that helps us kind of get the program going. But the major reason I think people do this, and I always show people, like, those are the 10 pillars or reasons people, have been doing this. All right, and this next part is very critical. Going over the explanation of benefits, right? Different buyers require different amounts of information, right? People will react to the range of my voice, the volume, the pace, the diction, how I can pronunciate a word. So when I'm explaining the 10 pillars of reasons people go solar, it's very important that you take your time and you go through each one of these reasons why it makes sense for the homeowner. And if you notice anything from their body language or their expressions that, that's buying signs a lot of the time where, I want to find the reasons why they want to go solar and then utilize that, to be able to create the decision. You add equity to the home. You take advantage of the federal tax credit, which obviously they're incentivizing clean energy. Just not everybody cares about saving money, but most people care about the environment. And then, your payment would be fixed. Do you know just roughly what the utility bill comes to if you were to say just roughly ballpark? All right, so if you notice here, I don't just say, hey, what do you pay a month for the power? Or I don't say, hey, can you grab your electric bill? Or do you do your paper bill or do you do it online? I say, hey, just roughly ballpark. Do you know what the utility company is charging you every single month? Maybe I'll utilize a line like, hey, Judy was a little dramatic, but she told me that the utility company was just seizing money out of her bank account and she just had to constantly give them all of the money that she gets from her paychecks. But instead of just donating the money, she wanted to keep it into a piggy bank and produce her power on site. So notice how I say roughly, and that's a really good soft way to get the bill. I think one of the major things is with Texas being a green state, this isn't about saving $20 a month on your bill. It's how we can put $20,000 to $30,000 back in not only to the equity of the home, but what people realize is this is a bill that you're never ever going to cancel. People will cancel their TV or their cell phone before their electricity. So if people can pay less on a bill they're not going to cancel, I think that's why we've had so many inquiries. Okay, now this is a very critical part, again, of the sales process, right? We are talking about solar and we're talking about comfortable, get down to business statements, but going back to the very first part is the greatest enemy is the client's fear. I don't want to overload her with information. So as you notice in this next clip, we're going to go back into rapport building, right? There's one objection I need to overcome this entire process, and it's trust. If I can gain her trust within this presentation, right, I'm going to lead her to the final decision. So notice how I go from business back into rebuilding rapport, and I'm going to go back into building as far as value for solar. Where are you from originally? This area?
Eastern North Carolina.
Eastern North Carolina. See, I'm from Boston originally, so I'm used to. I'm East Coast. You got a park your car. Can you park your car over here? Try to guess where he's from. Say something.
Which one?
Right here. Talk.
So I've just been walking around the streets, just saying hi to your neighbors.
Not this country.
You got that one right. But I'm not crazy like Arturo back here in a t-shirt. I don't know how he's doing it. He's crazy. But all right, so now I have the rapport built. The next step in the process is really being able to create that roadmap for her, right? To be able to explain to her the next steps of the process, right? Notice I'm very repetitive. I might have said something 2 or 3 or 4 times already, but now that I'm coming off of rapport building, I know that I have her full attention. So I now need to create a visual roadmap and throw her into the future of what's going to happen on the next steps. Hey, my job's super easy. All I'm going to do today are 2 things. One, show you where the panels are laid out and what your bill would have been last month. Let's see what I do from here. Like I mentioned, I'm just step 1. This isn't a doorstep decision. What I do is I text my engineer who had taken the imagery of the homes, and he puts together the actual design for us. So I just want to make sure, because this was definitely one of the ones I had on my list. So if I'm you, I can put the panels on the back or the front of the home. You could get, because you get like sunlight in the morning in the back, and then mostly the afternoon sun is in the front.
Let me answer.
Telephone, yep.
I'll be right back.
No problem. Oh, the Republican National Convention?
I don't know why you're calling me.
These guys are actually here to talk about politics to you after, and then he's the converting religion. I'm just kidding. But like I mentioned, we're just step 1 of the process, where what we do is we pick the homes that we feel like it would be a good fit. We have our engineer complete the design, and then I would pop by, like, I don't know if you're around Monday or Tuesday, and I would show you exactly where the panels would actually be laid out. You have a meter, is it on this side of the home?
Yeah.
Okay, and then do you have one of your most recent utility bills? Because I'm going to figure out the amount of kilowatts that you average, and that's how I'm going to design the system. Do you do like a paper bill, or do you do it online?
No.
Yep. I'm going to take a look at the meter if you want to just grab the utility bill real quick.
Okay, this last one was quite a bit.
I know. Well, what I can do is I look at the chart to look at the last 12 months, and then the fella from Australia, he's going to help me with the design and everything. So I'm going to take, grab it. I'm going to take a quick look at the meter. All right, notice I did not have any reluctance on getting the utility bill because I already seeded it 3 or 4 times in the presentation, and I assumed the direction that I was going to go. So that's how I was able to get the bill. We'll see where I go from here. And really all I do is I put a line down the middle of a piece of paper and I show you both options, and really the ball's in your court. The way that this works, it's a pretty cut and dry process. We go over the questions to determine if we can even choose you in the first place. Then we create this chart for you like I was showing you, where I'm going to kind of break it down apples for apples. So I just want to kind of show you this real quick. All right, one of the final steps, people buy emotionally and they back it up with logic, right? So this is where I'm really showing her, hey, I'm just gonna put a line down the middle of a piece of paper. I'm gonna compare everything apples for apples, or I'm gonna show you both situations, right? My job is super simple. If there's a small place we can sit, I'm gonna show you both situations, and then the ball's in your court, right? But notice a lot of the things that I did during the presentation to be able to actually lead her to the decision and work our way into the home. If this indicated Encore and TXU, let's say your average payment was $150, it's like giving them $1,800 in a year. We reduced this family's fixed cost to $100. Not only did they put $600 back into their pocket, they added value to the home. They took advantage of a federal tax credit. They're never going to deal with a rate increase again. And then over time, they put about $51,000 back into the household rather than just giving it to the utility company. RMCSS is roof, move, cost, service savings. And then the idea is, if we do pick you as one of the model homes, we would be able to show you savings from day one. So a benefit of being able not to pay anything out of pocket, turn something you rent into something you own, and then actually save money, like I said, immediately from day one. Does that all kind of make sense, just kind of like on the layout of how that works?
Yeah,
Yep, there's this small like corner of a table, or I can even sit right here.
we can do it now.
Yeah, perfect, that works. It makes it a little bit easier for me. Do you need me to take off my shoes? No. Okay, cool, yeah. I'll create the chart if right now works, that works for us. Do you know how long the designer said it will take? Do you want to sit, or is it okay if I sit?
No,
All right. All right, we have successfully transitioned into the home. On the door, you're a pest. In the home, you're a guest. So we are sitting at the kitchen table. Guess what? We don't get paid to be able to go sit at kitchen tables. You know, we get paid to create the decision. You know, so I knew that this lady, I needed to help her situation. And these are the 5 most important things I focused on. Clarity, being very super clear, right? If she doesn't understand this, she's gonna get confused and she's gonna say no. Repetition, repeating myself over and over and over and over again, having the attitude, belief, conviction, and energy, right? The energy that I carried myself with, believing that the deal was gonna happen, and then service. I knew I could genuinely help this woman. So let's see, you guys are gonna have to check the next episode, see if we close the deal.